Okay, we're back with the second video of section 3, and now we're going to talk about how to solve what are called consecutive integer problems. Consecutive integers are integers in counting order, such as 4, 5, 6. Sometimes they ask you for even consecutive integers, which would be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, skip counting by 2, or odd integers, which are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now here's the thing, if you have just straight up consecutive integers like we have here, and in general you started at a number, and to get to the next one, what do? You add one more to it, and that's the next one. So if you started at 15, the next consecutive integer would be one more than that. So add one to it and you'd get 16. And then the next one would be one more than that, 17, so forth and so on. And you can go up and down, backwards and forwards. You could go consecutive integers backwards, like -1, -2, -3, or you can go -17, -16, -15. It doesn't matter, they're just in order. Now, if we're talking about even integers, when you go from one even number to the next one, the next consecutive even integer, you have to go up by 2 because you're skipping the odd number in between the two even numbers, okay? Don't want to make this sound more complicated because it's really not complicated. If you go consecutive integer, even integers, you just have to add 2. So let's say you started a number that's even, call it n. The next even number would be 2 up from that, so that's why you're going to add 2. And then the next one would be 2 more up from that, so you're actually 4 away from the original one. Then the next one will be 2 more than that, so you're actually plussing 6 or adding 6 because you're 6 up from the original one, okay? And the same thing happens with odd integers. You're going to add 2 each time. So n plus 2, n plus 4, because you're assuming that the first number is odd. So if you start at 7, the next odd integer would be 9, which is 2 up from 7. And the next one would be 11, which is 2 more up from 9. Okay? So number theory is the study of numbers and the relationships between them. Now I'll tell you, when I was in college, I had an entire course just on number theory. It was pretty cool stuff, and it was all how numbers worked and prime numbers and sets of numbers. Pretty neat stuff. We're not going to go college on you in this class, but just wanted to tell you that number theory is the study of relationships between numbers. So here's an actual consecutive integer problem. Write an equation for the following problem, then solve the equation and answer the problem. Find 3 consecutive odd integers with a sum of 51. Okay, so you don't know what the integers are, but you know they have to go boom, 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 and they have to be odd. So the first odd integer, you're going to call it n. Then the next one is going to be n plus 2, because the next odd integer is 2 integers up from the first one. And then the next one would be n plus 4. And once you figure out what the first one is, it's really easy to get the next ones because you just add 2, add 4, right? So it also says that the sum of those odd integers is -51. So what we're going to do is add those expressions that represent the odd integers. So n plus 2 plus n plus 4 is equal to -51. So that's our equation. Then you combine like terms. Okay, so I have n plus n plus n, it gives me 3n, add the constants, 2 and 4 makes 6. Then I still set it equal to 51. And now it's a multi-step equation. Going to subtract 6, divide by 3. So subtract 6. And be careful, don't get -45 or +45 or +57. Remember, if you do it horizontally, -51 minus 6, you're subtracting, so you could change all subtraction problems to addition by doing keep, change, change. Now you're adding numbers with the same sign, so you add the numbers, keep the sign, -57. Divide both sides by 3, and you get n equals -19. Remember, a negative divided by a positive is always a negative. Doesn't matter which one's bigger or smaller. Okay, now we're not done, okay? Be careful, because the first odd integer is n. Then you have to tell them what, because it says find 3 consecutive odd integers. Well, you found the first one, but remember, most of the work's done when you find the first one, because if you know the first one, the next one is just 2 up from that. So add 2 to it. Now be careful because we're dealing with negatives. So if you have a negative number and you go up by 2, you have to add 2 to it and you get negative 17, not negative 21. Then 2 up more from that would be negative 15. So the numbers are negative 19, negative 17, negative 51, or excuse me, did it again, negative 15. Now if I bring over my calculator just to show you that negative 19 plus negative 17 plus negative 15 does give you negative 51. So we found 3 consecutive odd integers with a sum of negative 51. Okay? Alrighty. Let's go. Okay, how many clicks was it going to take? All right, here's one for you to try. Go ahead and read the problem, try it out, and hit play when you're ready. Go ahead, pause the video. Okay, we're back. So we want to write an equation for find 3 consecutive integers with a sum of 21. Now, notice it didn't say odd or even. So if it's 3 consecutive integers, they're right in a row, boom, boom, boom. So n plus 1, n plus 2. Okay, we're not skip counting. We're not jumping to odds. We're not jumping by evens or anything like that. So the sum is 21. So it's n plus 1 plus n plus 2 equals 21. Now, if I combine like terms, I have 3n. So 3n plus 3 equals 21. Now it's a multi-step equation. I'm going to subtract 3, divide by 3. So subtract 3. Don't know why I put that equal sign there. And it's not. There we go. So those cancel, and you have 3n equals 18. Divide by 3, and you get n equals 6. Now, if the first one is 6, then n plus 1 would equal 7. N plus 2 would equal 8. So the integers are 6, 7, 8. Okay, and if I add those together, 6 and 7 is 13, plus 8 would give you 21. Boom, we're done. Alrighty? All right, guys, that's it for this section. Please continue on to your assignment. If you have any questions, want to review any of the problems we went over in the lesson or in the homework, or you're stuck, you're just confused, reach out to me and I'll help you out. Attend my virtual lesson times if that works for you. And as always, make it a great day. You guys take care.